Lucas, where are we headed? Watch the road, don't look at me. Every year around Father's Day weekend, we have a family reunion in Bishop, California. This year was a little different though, because we just bought a couple Honda CRF 300Ls. About 3 years ago, we met this really cool older dude that took us out in his side-by-side, showed us a bunch of spots that I was able to find again. The bummer is, Luke was still recovering from a virus, so I was riding solo. But now I know for sure where everything is, and next time I can take Lucas to all these spots, and there are still hundreds of trails left to explore. Bishop really is like Disneyland for dual sports or any other off-roading that you're into. I discovered two things while riding around Bishop. One, I'm very pleased with all the modifications I've made to the 300 so far. Wanted a bike that could hit the trails, does it very well. The only thing left that really needs to be upgraded is the suspension. More on that in a minute. I'll do a walk around towards the end of the video. The second thing I discovered is that I'm very rusty and felt like quite the squid. First stop, the pet cemetery. This is where locals go to bury their pets. Part of me finds this, I don't know, endearing, but also a little creepy. How many human bodies are mixed in with those pet remains? How often does law enforcement take a trip out to the pet cemetery to look for the bodies of missing people? And how often do they find the bodies of missing people? It's kind of the perfect spot. If you saw someone digging a hole out here, you wouldn't be suspicious. You'd think, oh man, that poor guy just lost his dog. From the pet cemetery, went exploring to see if I could find the rest of the places that the guy in the side-by-side showed us. And I did. So the campground we stay in is called Mill Pond. After spending way too much time on the internet trying to figure out what these little ruins were, I can tell you that somewhere in the Tungsten Hills area, there was a 2,000-acre ranch called the Abalor Ranch. I probably pronounced the name wrong, but in 1921, it was sold to the Sierra Power Company and then later to the Department of Water and Power. The Inyo Lumber Company leased the land for a sawmill, which is how the area got its name, Mill Pond. Now, timelines from article to article get fuzzy, but the mill apparently operated from 1901 to 1918, and then it burned down. If you watch the documentary Water and Power, it would make a lot of sense that a mill would burn down right before a utility company bought the land. Yes, I am suggesting foul play, but mostly because anyone involved in the arson would be dead by now. But if I die mysteriously, it's because of this video. In addition to milling and the theft of water rights, the area, as I mentioned earlier, is called Tungsten Hills because there were tungsten mines in the area as well. So I have no idea whether these ruins were used for milling or for mining, but they're still pretty cool to check out, and so is this view. All right, enough of me being a squid and getting beat up on the stock suspension. Let's do a walk around. Both of these bikes got all the same parts. The only difference is the black on white versus white on black graphics from Bike Graphics. From Tusk, which is owned by Rocky Mountain ATV, handlebars, handguards, skid plates, EMEX T35 tires. No, Tusk is not a sponsor. I have 62 subscribers. Tusk just makes good stuff. From TST Industries, LED integrated tail light and fender eliminator system, along with the rear signal block-off kit. Front end turn signal bundle, I went with the Echo style. They have 3 others to choose from. New flash rate and flasher relay, because you're going from incandescent to LED, you have to install a flasher, which is essentially just a resistor. Otherwise, your bike thinks that you have a burned out lamp and your signals will flash really fast. I go over all the TST stuff in greater detail in the facelift and butt lift videos. I'll put a link in the description so you can check those out as well. Guts seat covers, double take rear view mirrors because the factory mirrors look ridiculous and they won't stay put even after the littlest laydown. These double take mirrors, they're pretty cheap. but they do the job and they keep it street legal in California.
So why would I go through the trouble? Why would I buy Dual Sports and then go through the trouble of making a Dual Sport basically a dirt bike? Because I live in California. Red stickers, green stickers, they constantly changing the laws almost as often as they change the allowable capacity of magazines. I've got plates. I can just get them out of the trailer, go right out of my front yard. I can go wherever I want. Now, let's talk about cost and just the necessities to get your Dual Sport to where it's mostly a dirt bike and barely street legal. I'm going to compare new prices between the 300 and the 450L. So it's apples to apples, because depending on where you live, the used market fluctuates wildly. But here in California, people put a pair of Renthal bars on their bike. It's 6 years old and they're asking brand new MSRP for it. That's why I went new here. But so I don't screw up these numbers. MSRP on the 300s is $5,400. I paid $73.50 out the door. Tusk bars, $75. Handguards, $75. The T35 tire set, $120. These double take mirrors, $30 each on Amazon. Total is $60 because you have to have two if you live in California. TST LED integrated taillight and fender eliminator, $140 for a grand total of $78.20. Now, if you spend another $1,500 upgrading the suspension, which arguably on the 300s is a necessity, that takes you to $93.20. A brand new CRF 450L, MSRP is $99.99. Dealers fees, transfer fees, taxes, depending on where you live, you're going to be in the neighborhood of $12,500. On the 450L, with the exception of the suspension, you're going to have to make all the same modifications that I talked about earlier with the mirrors, turn signals, tidy up kit in the rear. You're going to have to make all the same modifications with the exception of the suspension. Yes, the 450L has an aluminum frame. Yes, it has a lot more power. But let's be honest about your riding abilities. I think that for 90% of the riding community, the 300 has more than enough power. You don't need a bike that has the ability to pull your arms out of the sockets. I'm probably missing a few things, and I'm sure you have all kinds of opinions and or comments. So feel free to let me know how stupid I am, how wrong I am, whatever the case may be. Let me know what you think. I think the 300L is a great bike for pretty much all riding levels with just a few modifications. Hope to see you out on the trails. Is it recording? Yeah. With the exception